times that we'll be wise and that we'll understand what it is you want done. Please help us. Please help us. Help us to know when to be sensitive to your will when it upsets others. Help us to be sensitive to your will when it upsets us. But help us to understand judgment must be done in a righteous manner. I ask these things in the blessed name of your holy child, Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, the righteous one. Amen. Amen. And even so, amen. Have you ever wondered why it is we have Black History, as it is called, once a year in the month of February? Is it important? Does it matter? If your answer is yes, it matters. Why? If your answer is no, why? What benefit is it to bring? Does it bring any at all? When Carter G. Woodson, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, set it up, it was because he saw that a heritage of a people was being taken again. You see, the heritage was already taken one time when our people was taken from Africa, when they were taken, when they were scattered during the time of Titus and Vespasian throughout all of Africa, when the world was split between Portugal and Spain and the Catholic Church, and our people were sent down to Guinea, West Africa, and on the 1747 BOWEN Bowen map was called Negro Land. I might shorten a few minutes. And the right of that was called Kingdom of Judah. So the Black History Month, what does that have, if anything, to have to do with God? Any act or happening to a person, a people, and a country, it has a narrative that goes with it. And if the individual does not know that it has a narrative, one can think things just bad or good happen, and that's the way it is. But from the outset of the scripture, when the heavens and earth was created, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and when the Most High God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, and he saw the light, that it was good, he gave a narrative that it was good. And he did that repetitively. He's still judging. Why do I bring this up? It's because this week is considered Black History Week. And for many, there are many narratives on what is called Black history. I want to deal with it from a vantage point of American history. You see, sometimes people have been set in their minds so much so that when Black history is mentioned, that it's treated as if this is some of the most stupid waste of time or asininity of perversity that could be done, and just get rid of all of it. Yet, I've been around and I know of, and I get information from people that love to do and repeat the Confederate dress, and talk about the Confederate soldiers and what they did, and do reenactments, spend money to do it. There were many statues made. It's called the UDC, the United Daughters of the Confederacy. And the women determined when a lot of the soldiers were dead to give them a burial. They raised money, had cemetery property, put up monuments, statues, and did that, and put up many statues and many emblems all over the place, and really made the Confederacy seem great. And it allowed those women, because they did that, to have great place in society. And for those that believed at that time that it was just God's will, because they hadn't, maybe some of them hadn't treated the slaves well, that God's judgment was on them, but that the South would rise again, and that the manifest destiny that was given to rule America, keep America, as it was set up in the 1790 Naturalization Act, as a white country, it could go back to like it was. Then there were a lot of books and things written called The Myth of the Lost Cause, or it would do that because, see, under a dispensational theory, people felt that something had to change, because in America at first, it was mostly what we would call covenantal. And there was a change in what normally you would see as Gentiles being the ones that Paul was going through in the European nations. You like Galatia, Ephesus, had that great Greek background in it, and Scythia, and you see the letters where he wrote. And those people, according to the book of Isaiah and different parts of the scripture, were the isle, the coast of the isles. And then if you don't like that, the table of nations will allow you to see where Gomer was, Gog, Magog, where Jephthah's children inhabited. And you'd see that they felt at one time that God had totally got rid of Israel. And Israel had been supplanted or replaced by the church. And by Israel being replaced by the church, when the Civil War showed that the South lost, it bothered the eschatology. It bothered what happened. So then you got what is called dispensationalism. It was able to come to the rescue that God's going to get everything and bring it back in order, and then he's going to do maybe a what you call a rapture, and then there will be a millennium. But before, there was not going to be a millennium that came before the Christ came back. There was going to be that God would work out things in the earth, and once things got right, he would come, or when it got to the level that he wanted to be, he would come back right. And that is called a millennium. No millennium, just 1,000-year period, as it's called, would be God working on the earth. Eschatology changed to, at a certain time, he's going to stop things, and he was going to take certain ones to heaven. I'm not going to it deeply right now, but it wasn't going to be us, but that's okay. And that became the prevailing thought, and it was able to give the South the mindset that the South would rise again to its prominent place and be able to be in charge. Why am I telling you this? Because when we talk about American history, as opposed to just Black history, I'm not I'm not going against what Carter G. Woodson said, but because of the fact the way people hear, I want to say it this way. So what's the point? Well, tonight we're going to talk. We're going to talk. And when I talk, I'll talk scripture anyway, but I want us, as we look at Black history, as it is called, let's look at what has happened. Let's look at why it's important to some and not to others. Well, to some it's not important is because there was a manifest destiny that was given, and sometimes it was called the white man's burden to save the world. It was a situation that was set up that God had saved these people and civilized these people that was coming under auspices of the Roman Catholic Church, Spain, Portugal, and eventually Great Britain. Muslims would help them in capturing and as they enslaved people, but there was going to be something new in this part of the world, as Benjamin Morgan would call it, a new kind of Jerusalem. They were going to be like Jerusalem. They were going to be the people that were like Israel, and they would take passages from the Bible and say, just like Israel had a patriarchy, we have a patriarchy, and the slave people are going to be our children. And what we would do is we will care for them. They can't care for themselves, as was taught. They can't do for themselves. They got to have us to live. And in exchange for that, I'm going to tell the truth, but I'm going to use a little sarcasm. In exchange for that, we will beat them. We will hold them down. We will beat the savageness out of them until they become civilized. History in America of science has to do with Black people. This is why we have something called phrenology, where they would determine the race of people just from dealing with the skulls. And they could look at the skull. I think it's Johannes Blumenbach. He could look at one set of skulls and say, those people here, the Negro, he's going to be lazy. He's going to be pretty much what we would call sorry and indolent. But what were you seeing from the Negro? Who was cutting down the trees, getting up the vines, building the houses? But as long as he doesn't want to work for you and he's beaten, he can be called lazy. Now, the skull that looked like Georgia, not the state, but Georgia over there in Europe, he was going to be the smart one, the intelligent. They have a whole lot. I don't want to go through all of that. Then there was another one in 1859. A book came up by a man named Charles Darwin, and his book is called The Origin of the Species by Means of Natural Selection for the Self-Preservation for the Most Favorite Race in the Struggle for Life. There were many other books that would talk about how our skin was. We hadn't evolved. This was the history that allowed our people to be kept in captivity. And these are the things that when an individual doesn't know American history, we can see different things happen, and we can say, okay, anytime somebody has an issue, or if they want to say that you had psychological problem, they say that the Black men, we would go crazy. We had something called tryptophobia. I think it's called tryptophobia. My wife can bust in if I said it incorrectly, but it means we had a fear of being enslaved. We had things called iatrophobia because of the different experiments that were done. They said we were scared of doctors and medicines. When we look back in the different experiments, I will, if the Lord lets me live, I want to catalog a lot of them. I want to show that these kind of things still happen. When we talk about American history, we had some people that did not want our Black brothers and sisters. They did not want to have many of our Black people to be slaves. But when you hear history that's given as Black history from people that did not suffer it, it'll look like it was so small. The slave, the mistreatment. But if you look at what had to be in order for what to be, when we're talking about tons and tons of cotton shipped all over the world by people that didn't want to do it, how can one say that it was done by great, gracious, loving Christian people? When you look at the back of the slaves and their backs cut to the blood gushes out, meat hanging out of the back. There are times when you can read places where people had ran away, and the little placard would say, "Nigga John," yeah, I said it fast on purpose, "my slave, you can identify him because I shot him in the leg and he got a limp." Or this gal, they call her the same kind of, I'll just say Ninja or Nina. Let's use Nina. Nina Jane, I cut her ear off. She got a scar on her, she got a big scar going across her face. And they would try to get away, but American history is replete with those atrocities. American history will tell you about Black men that helped fight in the War of Independence. There's a guy, I don't know why, I forgot his name, but he was a dual spy, worked on both sides for Washington, and he worked for the other side as well. And he's praised for being a great dual spy, and he helped save the Union against Britain. And I hear sometimes that we don't talk about those kind of people when we talk about history. My question is, when you do talk about him, and as good a job as he did, why is it that the same ones that tell you that seemingly fail to tell you that and his family was emancipated, that his family was able to receive property? What do you mean, Tim? Why do you say that? Well, at this time, Patrick Henry got over 100,000 acres. George Washington, I believe, got 100,000 acres, as well as Thomas Jefferson, because land was really cheap. They were giving away 50 acres per person that you would bring over here as a slave, or that you would pay to come over here for in your family. It was called a Head Right Act. So when we talk about history, what happened to the man? Did his family receive any land? Did his family receive an inheritance? Did they get citizenship? Now, according to this is when you're talking about the war. In 1790, the Naturalization and Immigration Act said that the only person that would be a citizen would have to be someone that was white. He wasn't white. If I'll show you one day if I think about it, or my wife might pull it up and whatever, send me a link in my chat and I'll pull it up. But the thing is that he was Black. If this happened and he didn't receive any land, he didn't receive pay. And what about the other slaves that Mr. Washington had? There's a trivialization that is done. To me, it's a mockery that tell me about a man that was good to help save your union, but he couldn't have union with his family. To save your land, and he couldn't have land for himself. To save your inheritance and your wealth, and he couldn't have any. This is American history. When I hear about a preacher, a Black preacher that's able to preach in front of white people, and I get shown that, but I don't get to hear, I'm talking about when I hear history about the other Black preachers that I've read that was saying that it was wrong to steal a man and keep him. They can get dismembered, they get beaten, that get certain things set up so that now you can't even read anymore. It happened again after what we call the Nat Turner Rebellion. And they were talking about doing it again after the Denmark Vesey, or if you want to call him by the other name, Delimont, when they got him, when he wanted to go back to Haiti, he was helping them in Haiti. Delimont Vesey, we call him Denmark. And she said drapetomania means a disorder of a slave who was obsessed with coming free. I know that word, but I'm glad. You know what, Andrina, you can just butt in because I'm talking tonight, and I want people to understand why we would take up time and talk about this when we are a Bible class. And one of the statements that he made, of Rolla Bennings, that they made in the book, when you read about it, they say, you make heroes. This is what they said when they were going to kill them. Because it was more than one person, you make heroes out of your soldiers when they fight a war. And he said it was only for tea, because you didn't want to be taxed. Now that may be a oversimplification, because they would come in the houses and do things, but the thing that set you off was the tea. And you killed thousands of people in your war. But when we want to be free, and we would fight to be free, we're called criminals. We're called savages. And you dismember, and you will kill, and you hang us for the very same thing that we do. As a matter of fact, if he'd have went on so far, say you can give them medals and put up statues and make awards for them. He did the same thing with Thomas Jefferson. You praise men like Patrick Henry that say, give me liberty or give me death. But when it comes to us, this is American history. But nothing. When we talk about American history, if you divorce it from the narrative of the Most High God, you may not see the injustice. You may be like many of the Christians at that time, say, this is what God had designed. God wanted the Negro to be subservient. He cursed them from the beginning. Sometimes they would say the curse came from Cain, because there was a mark on Cain. And the Mormons were replete with that in teaching that portion. Then you had another one that said it was the curse of Ham, because Noah cursed Ham. But I guess after a little bit of reading, some found out it had nothing to do with the curse being on Ham. The curse was actually on Canaan. So then Doucho, if you read about the Denmark Vesey, you'll find out that Doucho said, no, the curse was on Canaan, but it was a hereditary curse. And since there's nowhere in the Bible that God took that off, that curse would be there forever. And we're only doing what God wants done. When we talk about history, and we look at many times our people would go to war and fight, some on the Confederate side, some on the Northern side. Neither side gave freedom. What did we get? Some of the land that was confiscated during the Confederate War, that was confiscated because the South lost, and the lands were given to Black people. Let's talk about the history. That land was taken back from them, repatriated to the people of the South, and they were given restitution or reparations for that. This is American history. Now, what's the narrative? The Bible teaches us we're supposed to give that which is just and fair. The Bible says there's only supposed to be one law for the stranger as well as the homeborn. I can imagine somebody say, Tim, you're not talking about the Indians. There's a narrative given by Indians too. And it doesn't want to mention the Folsom people. It doesn't want to mention people that were Black or Olmec people. I mean, but the statues are there. The big head statues in South America is there. But America has a history of that the religion and the Christianity was always of such in preponderance. Notice I said in preponderance on purpose. There were some that did not want to go along with it, and it would cost them their life. You'd be called a Negro lover, and I'm trying not to get shut down for saying the other word, but you call a Negro lover, you're sympathetic toward the Negro, you're coming down many times from the north and you're agitating and you're starting confusion, they could get killed. But those that wielded the power saw fortunes come in. And many of those that at one time said, we are against it, they start saying it's a necessary thing. It's God and his providence to bless us. And many of them turned from that. Our history, when we talk about things that happen to us, you'll get to hear often, we picked cotton too. One lady told me, I picked cotton too. I wasn't rich and I got paid $3 a day. I felt very, very disheartened when I heard that folly, that her picking cotton, getting paid as something to get money, was compared to countless years of people being beaten. When they first would find out that as a slave, you could pick 10 pounds of cotton, they would find out what you could pick. Then what they would do is raise it with the strap. I was reading one time that they would get 35 cents per pound for cotton. I did the math. I'm very good at doing math with zeros. I just brilliant with that, okay? So I say 35 cents, and the minimum they wanted was 100. I put 2 zeros on 35 cents, and I said $35 a day. A day. And often they would get beaten and lacerated so much that they could get it up to where they maybe even get 150, 200 pounds of cotton. And this woman is telling me that it's
this white woman is telling me.
I forgot she was white because you were there with me when she said that to me. The thing that I want us to begin to see is that in the realm of what we call America, Christianity, and politics, they want to forget what it really was like for our people and say that it doesn't matter, but it does matter, because God said never forget. Now you say he didn't say never forget. He said remember. His word. Is it at Psalm 78? Remember. Remember what I've done. Remember what I've worked in your life. Why is it in America that when we were given a Christianity, I want us to understand, because of the way that it was given to us, and it was set one side of Christianity for those that supposed to be the lovers of God, the teachers of God, the civilizer of the heathen and the savages. Yes, this is American Christianity, that we were to be civilized by people that would rape repeatedly and bring their little sons at a certain age and let him have a taste of black meat or a black woman, and that would be his introduction to manhood. And sometimes the man wanted some extra money and he would pimp the black woman. He just lease her out to somebody else and get paid. This is the Christians now. I want you to understand this was the Christianity, and we're not supposed to talk about it. It's supposed to be, we all love Jesus now, and God doesn't see color. Why did God see color? Through the eyes of those that were teaching us. Somebody say, Timmy didn't see color. There were slaves all over the world. First, let's make this perfectly clear. Go look it up. You can Google it. It was not like that in America like that. They were doing indentured servant, and they would run away often, and they might get beaten or they might get extra time. But when a black man, John Punch did it, they made him a slave for life. And that came to work out well. It was a lot better because when you were white, you could mix in and they wouldn't know whether you were slave or free. But if you were black, we could tell. It was the same kind of thing that happened in Barbados. You had the white Christians and you had the black Christians, and there was a problem with those that were free and those that were not, those that had privilege and those that did not. And so the Catholic Church determined, we will make a difference between the black ones and the white ones. And the black ones could be beaten, and their property, whatever they had, if they had moved up the ladder, could be taken. Now, someone would say, Tim, I thought you said you were going to talk about American history. Who do you think were the people that came to Charleston and started importing slaves to Charleston, South Carolina? The people from Barbados. Okay. When we tell people that this is our heritage, and they do like Rush Limbaugh used to say, talent on loan from God, that we pulled ourselves up by our own bootstraps with American ingenuity and American exceptionalism. Yes, I listened to him for about 30 years. Never in the narrative was it given by him, nor many Christians, that we could sit around and drink what those little, I guess they call bustiers, something to make a white woman's bottom look like it's big and she got a small waist, and they can wear the hats and have the dinners. Never do they tell that they weren't the ones on the plantations. Notice I said on the plantations. I never said none of the white people did anything to benefit themselves, but there is and there was a planter class that owned thousands of acres and that had the shipping that they got taken with the Royal African Company. And the Royal African Company were not owned by many of the regular European whites. Many of those people were Jewish, as they call them. Don't lie. It's there. It's documented throughout books. And those same people that would own the land would have them to do the work, make the shoes, cut the lumber, make the timber, make the nails if they didn't import them, and then they would build the property, they would sand it, they would lay the block or whatever it was, would paint it, they would make everything that was necessary, make the clothes, put their women breast in the baby's mouth. And these same people say that they pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps. Don't you believe that when somebody tells me, and this is what I'm getting at, when you tell me that God doesn't see color, when you tell me that the right that the Christian have, that they should, the Black Christian, he should always love and never seek justice, that's nowhere in the Bible, saints. Moses didn't know about that. Jesus told him in Luke chapter 22 and 36, he said, if you don't have a sword, buy one. I submit to you that the people that taught us, no matter what, to just love, love, love. Did they ever show love, love, love?
No.
Was the message that they gave, was the message that they exemplified a different teacher? The different teacher that would whip. You see, there were oftentimes that the slave owners say, I would just whip my child, I mean, my people, I'll whip them maybe once a week just to keep them, you know, kind of in terror so that they would know that they need to just don't mess up. And then atrocity of all atrocities, when it got to the place that in 1808, they said, we're not going to have slaves like this coming into America anymore. This is something that Thomas Jefferson and some of the people did in Virginia because of the fact we got a glut of slaves and we don't want them to be able to bring slaves in. We are breeding slaves and we get to make money. And so when they would breed the slaves to make money, they had a monopoly almost of selling the slaves. But people would come around and go to South Carolina and they would still do stuff like that anyway. Eventually, they would march our women, our children, men and women, bare feet, with chains. They say with the women, sometimes they would use rope, up to 800 to 800 miles bare feet. Beating them, raping them. But you tell us to love. I want to know, where was the love modeled? I want to know, where was the love modeled to Great Britain when they raised the tax on the tea? When they let the soldiers come in and take place in your house and eat up the food, and you had to quarter soldiers. I want to know where they had their love for their master and that they treated their master with utmost dignity and respect. I want to understand how it is that the Christianity that they gave us is taboo for me to talk about it to some. But if I really love, doesn't the Bible say charity or agapeo, or what we call love, it suffers long and is kind and rejoices not in iniquity or lawlessness, but rejoices in the truth. Now, Matthew 23, the Messiah talked about people that would say one thing and do differently. He says, the scribes, I'm in Matthew 23 and 1, the scribes and the Pharisees said in Moses to see all that they bid unto you do, do and don't do as they do, for they say and do not, don't be like them. And he showed the wickedness and the depravity of their lifestyle. I talked to a man 2 days ago and he says, slavery is over. You don't need to talk about slavery. We can make it. You know how many millionaires it is now? And I realized that because this kind of talk has not been given to our children, And we don't have an appreciation for what our family's gone through. My own daddy didn't tell me how bad it was. His sister, before she died, and I have some on video. Tim, you don't understand what it was like for your daddy. Tim, you don't understand. This is why he won't talk for it. You don't know how he had to get up early in the morning. You don't know how they snatched him out of school. You don't know how he would have to be plowing the field. You don't know how to do so and so. But I do remember one thing, and I think I was married then. I think Andrina heard my daddy say it. He said, "Man, the white man told me he was going to kick my," and he might have said "butt," because it depends on which one he wanted to say. He said, "If you put your hand on me, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna whoop you.
I'm gonna rock you, and
Rock
probably
you." And his daddy said, "I'm gonna whip you."
Yes.
Now, for those that don't know what rocking is, I'm gonna name my cousin. Yeah, I'm gonna say his name. His name is Jimmy Edward Owens Jr. Let me tell you something about rocking, okay? When we were little, living in Gainesville, there was dirt. We call them dirt bombs, clods of red clay. You could throw it in, and it would hit something, it would break. So we could throw them at each other like having dirt bombs. I don't know when they graduated to rocks, but I don't think I played that but once. Because my cousin Junior, that's what we call him, I could be way away from him. My rock probably wouldn't reach him because I'm throwing like this. He had a throw where he could throw it sideways. God is my living witness. You could hear that rock when it missed my head. And I knew I didn't want to play that anymore. I remember asking him sometime within, I think, 4 or 5 months ago. I said, "You remember when we used to throw rocks and your rocks would be almost about to hit me?" I said, "Do you think you could have played baseball?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "One day a lizard was on his post and he told his son, 'I'm going to hit that lizard.' Took that rock through it and killed the lizard." Remember guys like Satchel Paige and different ones that play baseball? The point that I'm making, when my daddy said he was going to rock that man, that was like me rocking him, okay? I know. Remember the other side of my daddy? My daddy would take a piece of wood that looked like a Y, and he called it a flip. He would tell me how he would go hunting and kill food to eat. Those were some of the things he would tell me. He never told me how the man, if he ever beat him, he said, "This would," I'm thinking you telling a man big enough to do this, and his daddy said he's going to beat him. I remember him telling me how they used to have to tip their head. "How you do, ma'am? How you do, ma'am?" And be in trouble. He told me how my granddaddy Bartow, he said he was scared of white folk, scared of them. But he wouldn't tell me the stories. But this is what is my past. You think I should not care? Somebody say, "Tim, ain't nothing you can do about it." Rest fully assured, there was nothing that Stephen could do about, yes, I'm in the Bible. There was nothing Stephen could do in Acts chapter 8 when he talked about all of the prophets that you all had killed that God had sent. But what he could do is he could give his word on what you did, and you're the same kind of people. And then when you see Messiah talk about it, he said, "You all go and you all fix up all the graves, you whitewash them, and you make them beautiful." And say, "If we had been there, we wouldn't have done it." And Jesus said, "You just said your fathers did it. Fill up the measure of your fathers." What does that mean? The devil is considered the devil, the wicked one. The Satan is called the father of liars. He's called the father of murderers. Rest fully assured, when an individual takes on the nature of the Satan, that doesn't mean they're not a human anymore. You've taken on that characteristic. Just like they called somebody the father of the telephone. They give the credit to Alexander Graham Bell. They give the credit to the light bulb, to Edison. They give that. And I say that carefully, okay? When we don't realize that our ancestors suffered and that they bled, died, and was in terror many times at night, because some of the Christians would put on a white robe with a cross on it and a white hat with the cross on it, and they would cover their face and ride around with torches and burn their houses and bomb their houses in the name of Jesus. And we say that we have some that have millionaires now. You only get to be a millionaire if they allow you to be one or stay one. Ask a man named Kanye West. At any time, your money can be frozen. At any time, you can be banished. But rest fully assured, there was always what they call the house Negro. And did you ever hear Malcolm talk about it? And the field Negro. One that can be raised up a little bit if he has enough control to keep the other ones feeling like you'll be okay. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm saying everybody's made it, what we call financially has done that, but I'm telling you, everybody did not get to have the same thing. Just like in some things, I'm smarter than some people. There's some things people are smarter than me. That's what was given. But I've had some opportunities that others haven't. What about the brothers that have been locked up in jail that didn't deserve to be? You see, because under the Christian administration, it's not talked about many times when other people give our history. They don't tell you that after the Emancipation Proclamation, that new laws was made, vagrancy laws, because if we can get you to be convicted of a crime, we can now look, watch this, transfer, because you're no longer a slave to the planter class or to massa. The state now gets to have you, see, because slavery nor involuntary servitude would not be allowed in the United States or any of its jurisdictions except for the conviction of a crime. So now when you make a crime, now the state owns you, and the sheriffs, listen to me, the sheriffs, the one that often they talk about, Romans 13, would lease you out to the same people that you worked for before. Now they can beat you, and if you die, it doesn't even matter because we can get another one. Do we not care for what our ancestors went through?
Timothy,
Yes, precious love.
we can't hear you anymore on the conference line.
What ended up happening is my Bluetooth, and I don't know how it picked up. It made me want to throw it outside, but then I wanted after the class is over. Let me try to move it over here. And if that happens again, let me know. So what happens is we've been taught to disdain where we came from. Now, if we don't look at just a little bit that I've given you where we come from, how can we thank God for it? That's the question. How can we thank God? Remember the old folk used to sing this song, "Oh, I got over. Oh, I got over. My soul look back and wonder." You know the rest of the song. I just want us to begin to understand that God has done things for us, even in the midst of those things, and we were able to do well. But then often we get our children to be made fun of because of the fact that what happens is many of them can't read, but then we have acres and acres of people that were not allowed to read, that was against the law for them to read. And if it were like me as a child, I was considered to be smart at the time, and they gave my mom medicine for me. It was called Ritalin, and she said that stuff took your personality. You could barely sit there and move, and say, and I took you off of that drug. My mom was married at 16 years old, and I used to try to figure out if she was pregnant before she got married, and she wasn't.
Stop it.
I'm not going to stop it, Andrina. And I tried to figure it out, and it wasn't. But the point that I wanted to make here is this. By the time I was 1 year old, she was 17. So by the time I got to be about 7, she was 24 years old and had enough sense then they're drugging my child.
Right.
Now we'll let people put any kind of pharmaceutical drug inside of our child because we'll say he's got an ADHD. We'll put any kind of drug inside of our child because somebody says it. And although Dr. Sherry Tenpenny has been saying this, I think when we first got married, so it has at least been around 20 years, she was telling us about what vaccines did to children then when they would have what they call an immunization shots. They weren't just called vaccines, okay? There is a difference. When you have something called an immunization shot, that's one thing. When you have a vaccine, those are technical terms.
I can attest to that.
Tell me about it.
I can attest to when I had problems with my immunity, and it's like I'm allergic to a lot of things, and my body is going through these changes, and I can't eat certain things. You sent me to an immunologist,
Mm-hmm.
and he says the best thing for you to get better is for you to be exposed to something. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you a series of shots to help your body build up immunity to certain things that we have tested you for, and we can see that you're allergic to. You're highly allergic to a lot of things. You're like in the top 3%. So if we can just give you a little bit at a time and build up your immunity to certain things, then your natural immunity is the best thing. So I can attest to that it's different than it's just, he could have said, well, I could give you a shot and it's going to cure everything. And it's called, a vaccine. He said, no, we have to build up your immunity. And he said, if you can't do that, then what I advise you to do is that foods, anything that you have, anything that you have had an allergic reaction to, take it in small doses, eat it in small doses. Expose yourself to certain things in small doses so that your body could build up a natural immunity. So I understand about immunity. You having an immunization, and there's language there that most of us we want to ignore, but we know we live, with sorcerers. We know we deal with wordsmiths. We know they have things that they say that they don't call it colonization anymore. They said, let's globalize. Well, there's a global community, but it's the same thing. The same people are acting in the same way to control the same resources and the same people. You call it globalization now. Before it was called colonization. It's language, and we need to understand what language is. We need to understand what they're saying. We need to understand the language. And that's what they've kept from us, not only just the language, but just the history. And even in separating this and saying, oh, this is Black History Month in America, you are actually saying that we are a separate nation. You are a separate people. And you came here and you did whatever you did, but it was so small, it's so insignificant that we can give you the shortest month in the year to say, well, we're gonna give you that. We're gonna let you have the shortest month in the year. That lets you know something. How dangerous they really feel we really are to them, and how significant we have been in this nation. That we're going to take you, the homosexual community and all the letters that they have, the alphabet community, they got a longer month than us.
Yes.
Asians, the Pacific Islanders, they got a longer month than us.
Yes.
We get the shortest month. That ought to tell you something.
And for the longest, it was mocked. Now I see that some people Look like they're going to take the Trump want to take the narrative on it. And you know, you listen and you will watch and see, watch it be trivialized down a little, and you will hear, okay, we're going to pick out some good black people, and I'm going to tell you, every time you see one that's picked out good, that did something for a war or did something like that, ask yourself, did they get free? What happened to the family? Did they get any benefits from that? Or was it the fact that, like the planter class, again, they were able to regain what they had and was able to be built up in the name of Jesus? The exceptionality, please hear this. I got this from Dr. Claude Anderson, so if you really want to hear it in its raw form, the exceptionality of we people is this. There is nobody else. So I'm saying this to say, when you hear there were slaves all over the world, it's still slaves today. Yes, they are. But the exceptionality of who we are over here is, number one, we were brought here. We were kidnapped, brought, many of us forced into a Christianity. Now, how do you force somebody into Christianity? Well, they did that in Libsyn. They forced baptized the people, and they also took the children, because it's easier to maintain and not want people to not want to fight back when you take children. If you tell me I'm lying, then you haven't read the Emory University Slave Voyages Register, and that's just the one they let me see. But the point being made is that we came over here that long ago, the way that we came, the way that we were on the ships, the way that they were making money off of it, when we were like sardines, when they were raping on the ship, feeding some of our people, listen, our sisters to the sharks. Many of our people would jump off in the ocean and just die. They were fed so little amounts of food that they were getting skinny. If they tried to run, sometimes they would maim them and put them on a rope and lower them down where the sail was and let it be in the water, so the shark would eat off half of their body, then they lifted up to terrorize them. It was reported that the ships would stink so bad that they could smell them a mile before they got to the shore. And when they get them in and fatten them up, they wash them down and then put them up on the auction block. They did this for hundreds of years. They made them pick tobacco in Virginia. Pick it, cut it down, not only do the other work to build the houses, etc. They did the tobacco, they did the rice, they did the indigo, they did sugar cane, they did cotton, and many other sundry things that they had to do and didn't get paid. Is that not exceptional? They wrote a whole thing of new help in science to make us be monkeys. They would take men like Oda Binga and put them in the World's Fair and lock him in with the animal. And say that this is a Christian world. Ringland was that Barnum and Bailey, an atrocious man, would do things like that to our people. And for hundreds of years, you didn't have any land. You separate our families, make mulatto bastards. In other words, they would get a black woman and a white man would get her pregnant, and in Louisiana, you would whore them out. You call them fancy ladies. You would do that all over. Then when we did get a piece of a right to vote, they would shoot us going to the polling booth. Then when that didn't work, we said, you got to be able to read. And then they had all kind of tests. Then they made us pay poll tax for other people that were voting that we didn't get to vote. They made us buy licenses when you're talking about the Civil War, we had to buy licenses to do work. Our jobs, this is exceptionality now, were taken from us and given to Irish, and many times they would fight and bomb and have gangs that keep us from jobs. Dr. King said he brought those peasantry here from Europe and say, you undergirded them with loans. You gave them seed and you mechanized the seed, and you taught them how to do the work, and you did all of that. But for your black peasants, you did nothing. So he said in the Birmingham jail and said, where are the preachers? The exceptionality of the experiments done on us. Yeah, I have another book I bought. It's about Holmgren's prisons, and you get a chance to see when they treated some white people like that. But medical apartheid is about us in particular. Exceptionality of lands taken, lands not given, burned out of cities. When I go through my book called Red Summer, it's just atrocious. And so when I hear these glowing things that slavery just wasn't that bad, we have the best slavery in America than anybody else, but our slavery was based on our color. It wasn't, we were not prisoners of war, not in fact of a war that we participated in. War was done on us, and we didn't fight back. Is this the love that God wants us to share? It's not the love that our oppressors share, because I got books right here in my computer. What is just war? When is just war? Dr. Robert Morey, a brilliant philosopher and apologist, said a time to fight. D.A. Carson, for those that are theologians, they know that he's a brilliant man in his field, but never for us, not even to protect our own wives. When a man would try to protect his own wife, the one he's supposed to give himself for, often he would be hit, head busted, eye knocked out, tied up, maybe spread on the ground with one mule pulling one leg one way and one pulling another until he's split in half. Sometimes tied on a pole and whipped up to 200 or 300 licks. This is exceptionality. And then sometimes laid on the ground and raked over a stump in front of his neighbors, his children, to take all his manhood.
There's no way by
What
what
you say,
you
precious
say.
love?
Can you hear me?
I can, but you have to just speak up a little bit louder.
Okay. Can you hear me better? Because my
Oh,
phone
yes,
is on.
much better.
Okay. The moment that you take away what actually happened to us,
Mm-hmm.
you take away our exceptionalism and how we overcame and our resilience. The moment you do that, where you say, well, I want to minimize it and say, well, it was, everybody had somebody enslaved, as if, well, it was right at one time. What you're saying to me is that in your heart, you would accept slavery on any platform, whether it was in Africa, India, yeah, if it was in Syria. It doesn't, I would have accepted it because that was the social norm. That is not norm. That is not normal. So when you say that, you're saying, oh, it was socially accepted. By whom? Because the people who were enslaved didn't think it was normal.
No, or
They
accepted either.
they never accepted it. So you have people that were revolting, and those are the things that you don't report. You don't want that reporting. You want to say, "Well, that was normal," and everybody was doing it. What does that mean? Everybody was right? No, but nobody ever did it in the way that you've done it. You've done it for as long as you've done it.
Amen.
So you say, I'm going to do it because your skin color is different than mine. Now we have slave. Good thing they'll tell you about. People enslave each other. Europeans enslave each other. Black people sometimes enslave Europeans, but it was never based on color. And they will tell you this, that they took an ideology that came from Darwin. And they expanded it, and he never did that for that reason. He was just like, this is my thought. I mean, based on what I'm seeing and the way the things are developing and where I live, this is what I think is happening. But these people did something different, just based on how you look. So when you say God doesn't see color, I believe they lying, and I believe they read the book like I read the book, and I understand that they know that if Moses put his hand in his bosom and it came out white, he couldn't have been white to begin with.
Come on, that's the truth.
So there are some things that they understood from reading the book. They took the book and turned it against you and said, that ain't for you. It's your book, though. What haven't these people stolen? What haven't they stolen? And I don't have to just say that with my mouth. Go in any museum that they have.
Especially the British one.
Go into the British Museum, go into Russia, go into Prussia, anywhere you go. Go into Sweden. They have museums of things they take. Go into Australia. Think about who are the thieves and the robbers of the earth.
But when the narrative is told, we were the savages, and we weren't going over there raping their women, taking their land, digging up their graves, cutting their bodies open to see how their bodies were we? Now, can you hear me?
No, because I say that again.
Can you hear me now?
You coming in and you're fading out a little bit.
What about right now?
It's good right there.
Okay, because sometimes when I have this in, you can't hear me. That's why I asked you that.
You can start off strong, but it fades away.
Okay. What about say something?
You're still doing it. It's still fading away. It starts off strong, but it fades out a little bit. And I don't know if anybody else can hear you.
The only thing I'll do is I'll put it in when you talk, and then when I talk, I won't do that because I forgot to buy a machine that will do that, but I'll get one. But when you go back to Prussia and what they
wherever you go into European nations, they have Black icons. And when I say Black icons, they have what they call the Messiah, what they call the apostles. They're Black. And they know it. But what they decided to do is something else in this nation. We're going to build a nation where it's all about us. You know how Tupac could say, it's all about you?
Yep.
It's all about us. And we're going to teach the history that we want to teach. And we're going to give you the icons that we want you to have. And we're going to use the book that you had and we're going to turn it against you because we're wizards. We warlocks. We wordsmiths. We can do that stuff to you. Because you don't know that we know. And they isolated us. We're isolated. So if I isolate you, I can teach you whatever I want to teach you because I'm the one in control. That's what we really want to try to do with our children. We want to isolate them as much as we want to. Because we want to teach them principles before they get in the world. Before the world teaches them things. But we have been taught by these people. And even when they want to say something good about us, well, there was James Armistead, and he was the first double spy, and he made sure that we won the American Revolution, right?
Right.
But who's still telling the story? They are. It's still their narrative. They still get to tell it. They still get to, at the end of what they're saying, it wasn't that bad though. No, what you told me is you was able to use me and we were resourceful that way. I get something different than what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Oh, it wasn't bad. Race relations, as they would put it wasn't that bad. No, we were always resourceful. We always knew how to do things. We have always had stealth, but you want to steal that from us because you don't want us to use it on you. So let's not tell you that. And let's say you were nothing and you were nobody and you were just all slaves and you were all beaten and in chain and we decided to let you go. Oh, praise be to the white peoples, the good white peoples.
Can you see my
No, you
screen?
don't get credit.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
You see the Pope with the Black Madonna?
I do.
And this is the kind of stuff that's really left out and people have no clue. And when we start saying that we need to begin to understand, when they give you Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Frederick Douglass only, what about all the thousands and thousands of Black people that got shot, that were digging and building houses, keeping their children as much as they could, as long as they could? What about the one that circumnavigated the earth before Columbus did? What about those that they built those statues to in South America? What about those that preached the gospel and got beaten because they were telling the truth about it? You want to give me the three that you approve of, but you don't give those that have struggled with. Do we let them keep waging war on our families in this neighborhood that we have and not fight back? But at their word, we'll go fight Britain. At their word, we'll fight France. At their word, we'll fight Spain. At their word, we'll go down there and fight in Florida, which is still little Spain. At their word, we'll go fight whenever they want to take those islands and get the guano so that they can have bat crap, so that they could grow their food. And even today, right now, they'll send our children to Ukraine. And so when we end up looking, we say, look, if we don't understand the exceptionality of the problem, that we have been made to be a permanent underclass. But we got so many billionaires and millionaires. Okay, let's just say right now that the people that are billionaires right now, do they have the ability to do what they do when they come from Israel, to control the media, to control the internet, to control weapons of mass destruction, pharmaceutical companies to control the schools? In other words, there is enough lock on what you do that you don't get to go. But so far, there is not an equality, that you don't get to control China like that. You don't get to control Japan like that. Oh yeah, you could do some sanctions, but there'll be a situation. Remember how much they didn't like that little Kim Jong-il? But you don't mess with it. Even in Iraq, where they have Iran, where they have the bomb, you get treated differently when you're seen as an adult in the earth, when you're seen as somebody that has value and that they have their own people to love and to protect that was taken from us. And if you tell me that I'm not supposed to talk like this when I talk about the Bible, what does this scripture mean here? Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. What's the solution? Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, for you shall find rest to your soul, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What kind of yoke does he have? He always told the truth. He defended the poor. He defended the weak. He defended the brokenhearted. And I submit to you, the only time he would take stuff is when he knew it was the Father's will, but there was a time he turned over tables. I'm submitting to you that we were given a form of a Christianity that would never let us be equal to the adults in the paternalistic construct that we have in America. So when it's told that, that was in the past, just preach Jesus, the Jesus that was given to us was constructed so that we would always be beggars. I would also submit to you that when a person say, you know what, the reason that Black people are like they are, and you never look at the systems of law, locking people up for vagrancy, locking people up for not having a job, locking them up, putting them on the chain gang, bombing our churches, saints. Bombing our
Let me say this. Let me say this. What you're saying?
Okay.
They play the long game. They play the long game. It ain't game by game. They play it. They play it, and they systematically do it in order that they want it to be undetectable. They want what they do to be undetectable. So you can't say anything. Well, that's not really what's happening right there. But they play the long game. And we need to understand that that's the enemy's strategy, to play the long game. Look at it, listen to it, because it's always at every point want to bring you in submission in some type of way, in some form, whether it's I'm going to make you do this, I'm going to make you wear this, I'm going to tell you you need to stay where you are and don't move. I just want to call it, and you do it. Whatever play I call, you do it, because we play the long game, and these are tests. All of these things are tests to see where we are. Yeah, I need to see how much control we really still have. Can we call it like that? Can we call that playing everybody and be in agreement? Can we tell them they need to do certain things and be in certain places at certain times? And can I do that? And everybody would be in agreement. And this is a lot of people. We talking about what, billions of people. They play the long game. But what you need to see is what they're doing at every point. What's the call? What is the call? They're going to make a call, and it's going to require you to answer. What's the call? Well, we might need you to, to stay a certain distance. And we may need you to wear certain paraphernalia. And we may need you to get a certain medical procedure. And we may need you listen to the short calls. Listen, because it leads to ultimate control.
And we may need you, if you're wealthy, we may need you to promote something we don't want promoted. We might look, you showed me that wicked video where this man is on there say, if you don't, no voting, no V as in victory, UCKING, V is the phonetics equivalent to the F. So when you study memory, you learn phonetic alphabet. And this man is on there saying you got to vote before you can V.
And he dressed up like a woman.
And you get to do that with him as a prize. This is how they mock us. They mock us, yo. Where is the intelligence in this? And then the preachers, they'll say, God don't see the sinner, he just see the sin. Oh, but I can submit to you, they lie. They lie. And there is so much going on right now in the halls of Congress. There's so much already going on. I remember one man say he wanted to shoot a cloud over and block the sun in Africa. Don't think they can't set some things up to see clouds or whatever to block the sun, but they already determined that we were going to make your food genetically modified, and they did it.
Well, here is the thing that I want to prepare our people for. because this is 2023 and we're going to have an election of a president soon, right? They're going to prepare you. They're going to do things. Watch and listen. And they're going to mock you in their advertisements. They're going to do things. They're going to say, oh, this is what Black people like. That's what they assume. They're going to say, oh, we got to appeal to Black men. You know, the reason why, and they've already done this when it came to the campaign here in Georgia. Well, it's because of Black men that, that Abrams woman didn't win. And it's because of the Black men. They're going to blame Black men. So they're going to start courting you, Black men. Listen to me. They are going to start saying they want to have a meeting with you. I think that person who calls herself a vice president, or they call her, she's already started it. And we ain't seen her. We ain't even seen her. We ain't heard from her. She was nothing like, what's that nice white-haired guy that was with Trump? I liked him. Pence. We saw more of Pence than we did of her. We don't hear from her. She's still in the background. Sometimes she ain't even in the background. But now she's going to come out and be Black to y'all. Listen to me. Don't believe the hype. She's going to say things and she's going to try to appeal to you. And because she wants to be re-elected, even though she's not even been visible or vocal or anything. This is why they had her at this young man's funeral, which was a total abomination.
Tell it to the people that didn't see it, please.
That these people went, that the Democrat Party went to this man's funeral and they made it a DNC convention. We're going to give honor to all these people in the party. Oh, how great this little person, this snitch is, this short little skinny dude who got a perm, and we're gonna uplift him, and we're gonna let him say things, and we're gonna, Keisha Lance Bottoms, and you made it a whole convention. That was an abomination. Whatever you believe about what happened to this man, they made his funeral an abomination. They made it all about them. Watch it, listen to it. I want you to be the same disgusted. It was disgusting. They were giving praises. We're going to call out all the leaders. We're going to call out all the big people. We're going to call out all the little people too. What happened to a eulogy being about this man's life? No. It's not about that. It's all about us. This is their way of coming back into the Black community. And you can hear it when you hear, oh, I don't even want to call his name because I hate him so much. He's disgusting to me. But he started talking about, we going to get the George Floyd bill passed and we going to blah, blah, blah. Stop it. It doesn't even matter. We need to stop going for the okie doke. We need to stop listening to this. We need to start listening to the Most High. We got a conscience. We know things ought to happen. We haven't seen things happen. For you all who voted for the Democrats, you ain't seen no changes happen. You know it. When they had control of the House and the Senate, we need to grow up. We need to be mature in our thinking and our understanding and our reasoning.
What was it they were supposed to be passing, Andrina, when they
that whole thing when he talked about he's going to write this George Floyd bill and policing bill, and it still ain't got passed. But now they're gonna, we're gonna resurrect it. We're gonna resurrect it at this man's funeral, and we gonna get it passed no matter what. No, you with the opposition. You with the people who didn't pass it. Now, but you're going to make that a reason for you to be reelected, for the Democrats to be in office again. Let's not be children in our understanding. Watch what these people do and what they say. You're not removed from it because you voted for this person, and look where we are now. Your bills are high, groceries high, gas high. But they told us we need to get somebody out of office because that person was bad for us. But wages were high, gas was low. I didn't feel it. There are things that you need to understand that people are going to tell you that you're not even experiencing. Oh, well, we got to get him out. I'm not an advocate for him.
You
Y'all
sure?
know what I'm
Not
talking about.
you. Not you. You
I'm
definitely
just
not.
saying, I'm an advocate for my household, for my husband, for my children, for my pocketbook, for my gas tank. Because I have to live here and be here. I got to keep my lights on, my gas on, whatever. So we need to live in reality and stop listening to people tell us what we need to do and start saying, well, I got to play my pocket. My pocket say ain't nothing wrong with my pocket. This is the most money I have ever made in my life under this regime. Because we are always under a regime. Then your pocket need to say, this is the worst I've felt in years under this regime. Be real about it. Stop listening to people tell you what you ought to think and feel. You got a mind.
And
Use
Drina,
your righteous mind.
and Drina, when people given money for a few months or maybe a year, and now it's been taken pretty much being taken back, and now other people are making the money now.
It's gone.
But I want to tell you all this. When you hear people say it doesn't matter, God doesn't see color, but Christianity that was given to us did. If you say that it doesn't matter, why is it an issue every election? Why is it that if it is God doesn't care, why is injustices, why are they still being done? But most people don't know it's being done in our schools. They don't understand that we get charged more even when we have the same amount of credit. It's documented by Harvard and different places when it comes to buying cars, buying houses. The houses that we are shown when there's going to be dumped inside of waterways, it's ours. When there's infrastructure and things like that, you have to begin to look at the whole system and begin to understand. If we understand our history, we're not looking for Republican to bail us out. We're not looking for Democrat. We're looking for independent. I'm saying come back to your God and call him. I guarantee you he's got a track record that when a people will call on him righteously,
Yes, you
and
got it
they
right.
will do what's right, but they don't see the pain when you don't see the strategies of the enemy. And God knows, just in case a person get it wrong, I'm not saying, she's not saying every white person, but when we start talking about the corporatocracy, corporate powers, whether it's corporate in the media, which means a go-between. Media is between, like a mediator. In other words, I can go between you and this person to give you what I want you to have as propaganda. When we start looking at the entertainment world, when we start looking at the religious world, when we start looking at the ones that are in charge, often they are our worst enemies. Because I'm telling you now, I got some great people that have treated me well and still do that are white. And I don't know why they hadn't turned against me. God must not let them. But they know I don't steal their stuff. I won't steal their stuff. I'll protect them. I'm there for them. But at the same time, if they say everything equal, my voice got to raise up like a trumpet. First thing I say, why do you say that?
You don't steal from them, and you don't allow them to steal from you either.
Hey, I love the Lord. The Lord teach us how to live.
You don't allow that either. And we have to return. We once had a righteous mind. We have a righteous ancestry. It's still there for most of us. If it has not been burned out by this world, seared by this world. Return to that. Return to your righteous mind. You know when you doing something wrong. You know when you lying. Don't nobody have to tell you that.
We do, and we
You
know
know
when
when
we
you
being
commit
section.
theft.
We ain't married to this
Yeah.
person.
You know when we commit. You know when you commit theft. You know it. Stop doing that stuff. These are the things that keep us from the power. It keeps us from the power. And the power that they had, because white folks will tell you, oh, we freed the slaves. They freed Jack. I'm telling you.
I like the
Most
way you
High
say
gets
Jack
all
and held it up.
credit. He gets credit for that. We had to return to our ancestors to return to their righteous mind. They had to return to it. They had to understand what situation they were in and the best way to recover themselves. And we all give all praises to them. White folks will tell you, well, we were the first ones to not do slavery, and we were the first ones to free slaves, and they still have slaves in other places. And no, you don't get no credit. You
And
get
granted,
none.
sometimes you have slavery in other countries by our corporatocracies. They don't call it slave, but you work them in such a way that they don't get anything, and then you upset their country. And as you showed me years ago, even in Mexico, many of the Mexican women were getting killed because they gave the women the job and the men didn't have a job,
Yeah.
and they upset countries. But we don't get to know what goes on in the corporatocracy. I think if America didn't have the corporatocracies that we have, and what we call capitalism in the corporatocracy way, things would be different.
I don't know. I
America
might
is a
disagree with
corporation.
you. I might still have to disagree with you on that one because
Well, we might argue that
there's
down
a
the street
lineage of
down
people, and
online, okay?
I believe that spirit exists and that spirit of enslavement, and you want to
I
enslave
got I
people, you want to
free
rule.
is it just enslavement? I think it's I think it's first greed and free labor, and then I think it's the power to dehumanize somebody that gives some people joy.
I think it's the same.
Okay.
I think,
I ain't gonna try to go through and split the hairs and to try to prove you wrong
yeah,
because
because you know
I still might fall on my
that's
face.
what you feel like one degree of evil is different. I guess a degrees, yeah, but it's still evil.
Well, you
Degrees.
remember the other night you said the devil has come down. We have his Tim, you've talked about the father's lies and we seem to kill, steal, and destroy. I mean, that's the resume. If they're not gonna kill, you can die many ways. I think when you was doing the series on Deuteronomy and we're looking at the Ten Commandments, covetousness. I mean, if that won't kill you, what won't? I mean,
Coveting
and
do
you was
everything.
explaining like I steal your reputation, I steal your money, I steal the truth from you, I steal God's honor. I mean, I was like, wow, I hadn't thought about those things like that, but it's plain to see. At least you help it be plain to see. So I'm listening and it's um that I can't remember if you were saying this or because I was thinking about it today and yesterday if my people will call by my name, to pray. But it's really sad because black people, well, people in general don't want to listen when they don't have a heart towards the truth. And then you said something really strong when I mean, you said it for years, like watch what they do, they're broadcasting. And so when you say, "Oh, well, we was the first," or when you say, "Oh, um, y'all did it too," and then, oh, y'all was over there selling each other, it's like you're saying so much about your heart, and it's like everything that you're saying, well, you might have given like 95 cents and I got 2 pennies over here. So my 2 pennies outweigh your 95 cents. And logically it doesn't make sense. So that narrative thing that you continue to say, and then I like that. I'm gonna give you tidbits. It's like leading a rat. Tim, you've been pesticide and all that. You put bait down and then you lead it somewhere. I think in some cases, I think I've seen where you do that, and it's sort of the same thing. But if we could get Black people to hear, I mean everybody to hear, but like why, what kind of prayer are you doing? You know, well, you praying for the wrong thing. And like we won't call it prayers, but like that, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, I want this, and it's all um it's gonna pass away. Ecclesiastes, you went through that, you're talking about like, well, I'm gonna have this and what's that gonna do for you?
For real.
What is it? I mean, and it's heartache. I can't remember if it's a verse in Ecclesiastes. When you got all this money, then you worry about people taking it from you.
There you
You got
go.
this huge house and you got this crazy, and it might be a good idea, but you got this crazy fence around. It's like you've incarcerated yourself. I mean, it's all these degrees, and then you can, if you don't tell anybody, you got a lot of times don't nobody know.
It's true. Even our desires have been controlled. Our desires, our wants, what we say we need, and like our prayers. We're gonna pray. I want that new car. I want that better job. All of those things have been given to us as those things that's supposed to make us happy. Those are the things that's supposed to bring us to the pinnacle of society. And because we have seen white people and they have everything, and we are assuming by the television shows they put on that everyone, because they have everything, that they're happy. But we know that that's contrary to the truth. But even those things are prayers. I want to get this car. I want to get this house. I want to pass through this grade. I want to, all of these things have been controlled in some way by the society we live in. Because the first thing we should be praying for is peace. I want peace in my own heart and live in my own house with my husband and my children, and we can have some peace with one another, and my children will listen to me. We don't do simple, have the simple
Yes,
things.
we had our grandbabies on Sabbath. That was so
That was
magnificent.
magnificent. I just like, that it was everything. It was like there was nothing else I could ask for more than to just have that and to be in the midst of them and to teach them and to serve them. But they won't tell you that there's peace in that.
And it was so wonderful that I determined we're going to make us another YouTube page so that when we're not around them, we can teach them on their level, their
Yeah,
Bible, and teach them on their level our history. Yeah, and we ain't gonna wait on nobody else to do it. We got it. We're going to give it. If somebody else want to go in and go online and get it, they can. But it's primarily for our babies. And I'm going to give this to Renee asked whose funeral. Renee, that was Tyree's funeral or Tyre's funeral. In the Bible, the city called Tyre is spelled Tyre, but when his name is pronounced, it's pronounced Tyree.
it's
And
his
you had it on your, and
mother
Renee, you
name.
had it on your page, and Andrina said it was an abomination, and I plan to look at it, and I plan to comment on the wickedity and the ungodliness of those that we allow to mock our dead young brothers that didn't deserve to be killed. I don't care if he'd have been doing something that he didn't have any business doing with somebody else's woman. He did not deserve to be kicked in the face like a dog. He did, but I'll talk about that later.
Well, here's the issue, and it's these people are They are grief hounds, okay? We gotta
Say that
call.
again. That's
They are
deep.
grief
That's deep.
hounds. They are grief hounds. And they called me when my son passed. They called me Reverend Al, okay? And I hate to say his name. And there is nothing that should be reverenced about him. Nothing. I find nothing about him. And you maybe say, well, he did this for so and he stood up for this and so. I don't care. He can do that in his own name. Stop doing it like you a preacher and like you a preacher of righteousness. And I'm supposed to honor you based on that title. I will not. So he called us, and I refuse. I'm not calling you back. I don't care. This is not a grandstanding moment. I'm not going to let you use my grief for you to grandstand on.
In our son's righteousness for you to be wicked.
And the other thing is, everybody not going to speak. I'm going to say it right now. Oh, I don't care who there, y'all ain't speaking. We're gonna you're not doing it, and I ain't gonna get some stranger to preach his funeral either. We're not doing that.
Nope.
And I'm not playing with you. I'm not playing, because I can make up a stink. I can cause a stink more stinking than you ever smelled.
Oh, God, no.
Because I'm serious. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. And you're not going to exploit this. But they wanted to. They wanted to.
They did.
And there's no way that's going to happen. So it is like, well, we're going to have so-and-so to preach. No, you're not. He's not.
Nope.
That's not happening. I understand you got to, this is your county or your province. And there are certain people that will have things to say, but it's going to be short and it's going to be sweet. Other than that, it ain't happening. I shut it all down. But they exploit.
No righteous goes to waste.
Oh, it was disgusting. And I could say that from the vantage point of me feeling the same way about what happened to my child, that happened to her child, that they exploited it. And all these people showing, oh, we're going to show up and we're going to have something to say. No, you're not. Well, if you want to accept the least of us, surely you're not going to accept the greatest. I'm not.
Andrina, think about this. Keisha Lance showed up, and you think about that little girl that died out there by that Chick-fil-A out there, Stewart Avenue Metropolitan, because of the grandstanding you did against Governor Kemp, because you don't like Governor Kemp. Well, I don't care if you like him or not. I ain't got to like him. If he did something for our people, he did right. That don't make me fall in love.
We gotta understand that where we are. We need to stop thinking we're not in a foreign land and that we're not under a foreign regime, and that they tell us that we're not of their nation. Well, if you gotta separate my history from yours exclusively, then I'm a separate people. I am. I'm a nation. That we are a nation. But we are a nation that you refuse to acknowledge. You don't refuse to acknowledge the Asians and the Pacific Islanders, and you don't refuse to acknowledge them, and the Japanese and the Mexicans and the Guatemalans. We're the only people that you refuse. You set us aside in the same way, but you still not a nation. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And by them separating us out of this and saying, well, you don't have anything to do. This is just about white. And what we did and George Washington. And like, what? We're a separate people. And you know who we are. We the children of Israel. You know it. But you can't say that. You'll just say, well, you're black. You're colored. You know, you're colored. No, yeah, you know, you can be black now. Well, we're gonna say you're African American. I'm trying to figure out where they going next. Where else they can go?
People of color.
Okay, they've already done that. People of color. What's next? Because they have to change our status to show they're in control of us. I mean, I can change it. You can change anything. I can change the name of my dog if I don't want to call you Toto no more.
Well,
Or Coley's.
they do that with gender.
So we gotta see ourselves because I truly believe that a lot of our ancestors were natives. That when I say natives, I mean they came here before Columbus. Okay.
Dr. Ivan Van
I
Sertima
don't,
said they did.
I don't mean that you all came out of the ground here in America. I don't mean that. I don't understand that concept, but you know, when you say that we were here, we could navigate the terrain, we understood the climate, you know, we knew things that would grow here. There, this is this, and you just came and you had guns. Well, we don't know anything about guns, and this is how you took over.
One of the things that I learned about the circumnavigation of the world by the African or by the black people, about our people, the Israelites, is that they learned the same way that the stars did over the seas, they did it over the land, and they learned how to do that just as well. And they were able to go over the deserts in the same magnificent way. I would say this. I'm glad that for one time, I just went directly into discussion instead of going into a class first, because if this is the month that they gave us, let's use it and have either to regret it, but it ought to be for us that we would get a taste. I grew up hating our history. I grew up hating who we were. When I was a boy in the first grade, there used to be a television show come on called Doc Tari. Go, Doc Tari, Doc Toddy, Doc Toddy, Doc. It would be Doc Toddy, but they say Doc Toddy, and the people would be in these little grass skirts, and then the people would come over and do stuff, and then Tarzan would go through, and Tarzan would be in control. He could beat up the people that were called the savages. The animals would obey him and everything. As I got older, I didn't like Tarzan, but I read that the man by the name of Edgar Rice Burroughs, who wrote the book, never went to Africa, but he believed in Darwin's theory of evolution, and Tarzan was the ape man. He was supposed to have been the greatest one that had come from the ape. Tarzan means white skin. He was Lord Greystoke, and therefore he was a fully evolved, and the rest of us was nothing, and he was able to be like a parent or a guardian to handle stuff, and that's exactly how it was done in America. If we don't get to the place that we see that we are the people, and the Most High God is the one that's going to guide us, the Most High God is the one that's going to lead us, and that's why many activist groups don't get me, is because I'm going to go back to God, period. I got to do it. Because when they put me in the box, and the day that they put my corpse in the box, but I've already ascended to the Lord, he's going to already determine whether I'm going to the place where I'll be with the spirits of just men made perfect, or I'll be reserved in the hell or the everlasting chains of darkness until it be reserved for punishment until the great day. I submit to you, I want to leave something to our people. My wife want to leave something to our people. And we think that God ain't going to do it for us. No, it's we won't do it for him. Once we do it for him and honor him, he said he will honor those that honor him. Didn't he say that, Andrina? Those that honor me, I will honor. And I mean it. I'm through preaching. Who left?
No, you're not.
I'm gonna say like the little children, I'm missed.
No, you ain't.
Gary, have we set you on fire yet tonight?
It's just it's like it's a slow burn. So I mean, I think with the I won't say culmination because I don't think, I'm sorry, that's my pill. I took it out. The culmination, I think, like stoking it. You know, sometime when the fires, did he go away? When
No,
the fire,
you just don't see me because I'm doing something I don't want you to see.
okay, but then I don't want to see it.
You got Adriana, she got my back. She got my back 100. Don't
So
you,
you know when you have a
Adriana?
fireplace and it looked like the fire might be going out, but it might even be hotter because you can look at the wood and the wood looks like it's glowing red.
Yeah.
Kind of. This it's kind of, I would say, like that. So because with the messages, it's like a highlighting or yeah. So I don't think the best way to say, so like to do more. No, I wouldn't say that, but it's like it's like just burning. I don't, if that makes sense.
It makes sense to that the spirit was meant to keep burning in us. Like even Peter said, give us a refreshing of your spirit. That
Mhm.
we can have it more, that it doesn't burn out, and
Mhm.
things that will stir us even more, that he will stir us even more. And by hearing things, we can understand more of who we are. We can understand how we were able to endure so much. Sometimes we think, oh, I'm just being passive and oh, I just let stuff happen to me. But there are some things that's written on our genetics. Like there are things that we can endure. Like it's like I don't know. I had one white woman to say, I don't know how black people can still be sick and they can still get up and they can still take care of the I don't understand.
Wow. Hmm.
These are the things that's real life. That's real life
Yeah.
resilience. There's real life endurance. There's real life knowing that we have some little people that are more important than us. Like whatever we feel and thinking, they are more important than us. We have a responsibility. And sometimes we can feel that responsibility when it comes to providing, but there's still an emotional responsibility that we owe them too. And we can't be doing this and still getting up and cussing them out. Like
Yeah.
there's another aspect to that, and we can be we can be adults in the way that we get up and we have resilience, but we be children in our emotional response to it. We can't be children in our emotions. We can't be crying and falling apart and yelling and throwing tantrums. We can't do that. Those are childlike things, emotional childlike things. So when our responsibility grows physically, we need to grow emotionally. We need to be like, well, I can't just be popping off and telling you to shut up every minute. I need to be trying to figure out okay, so what are you saying? But why you upset? You need to learn how to respond emotionally too. You know, there are times where you check things because you're a child, you don't know what you're saying. But then sometimes it's like you're getting older. So if we don't grow emotionally too, we won't be able to hear what's happening understand people, especially in our own households. And that's where it starts first. But then we understand that outside of that, we start seeing, oh, she's behaving like a child. And she is my boss, or he is my boss. And he's a child emotionally. How do I respond to that? Oh well, I'm not gonna be throwing no tantrum with you. I'm gonna be like, what's the issue? What is the issue? Because we want people to be able to, wherever we are, we want to try to bring people up. We want to do it. If we're there, we want to help our brother. It's like it's what Paul said in what is it, 2 Corinthians chapter 10, when you've been brought into obedience,
Yes.
you require that of your brother. You don't let them stay where they are because they're hurting where they are. They're not getting the responses they want where they are. They can't figure out why they might get fired where they are. Oh, well, nobody's cooperating with them where they are.
Andrina,
You may be able to provide that information.
let me
I'm sorry,
read.
sweetie. Go
Let me
ahead.
let me read that, because that was so powerful. That what you just said. That just a half quote, I don't think is enough. And so I'll go ahead and 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And he says, did I share my screen? I know I pulled it up. Did I share the screen?
No, sir. It's not sharing, sweetie.
Okay, that was one thing that I remember. Sometimes you say, share your screen, sweetie. Yeah, I look, I can receive that. Okay. But I don't want Gary calling me sweetie. I don't care if he is my brother.
You're not gonna have to worry about that, period.
Okay. So 2 Corinthians 10:1 says, now I, Paul, beseech you by the meekness and the gentleness of Christ, who in the present, I'm base among you. Just click on base. I didn't mean to, but humble. I don't look like much. Humble among you, but being absent and bold toward you. I beseech you that I may not be bold when I'm present, and that confidence wherewith I think to be bold against some, which think of us as though we walked according to the flesh. He getting warm. But though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty through God. Would to God we have those, but are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations. Now, you know, this racism thing is an imagination, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, and having a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. It looked like you could be your own problem in that passage, don't it? Because you're not ready, and you ain't walking right. Look at it.
Yes.
For instance, you're not casting down imaginations.
Yes. You exalted.
You're not pulling down strongholds. You like, well, let's do this activist thing, and we ain't gonna talk about God in it. We just gonna say it's wrong because it's wrong, and they don't have a reason for it to be wrong. It's politically correct at the moment. In the same way that some of our white brothers didn't see color, but until the law made it that we can see color. And in the same way, if they made slavery legal today, some of them would feel like, well, I ain't got nothing to do with it right now, or maybe I would take something right now. But you had some that didn't see color, and they were willing to pull down strongholds and die. But we always were willing to pull them down until they gave us a false sense of Christianity. And it said, casting down every imagination and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. When you tell me you can treat a man and treat him in an inhumane way, you have exalted your knowledge against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. When? And having a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your stuff is together, when your obedience is fulfilled. That's why I pulled it up, Gary, because that scripture that she brought up, it was too juicy, it was too pregnant, it needed to be delivered right now.
Well, and it goes back to what I was saying about what we consider as social norms And there's nothing normal about it. I mean, in the sense of being from creation and having a creator. There's nothing normal about taking a person and deciding that I should beat you, I should rape you, I should hang you, burn you, I should do this in front of my children. They should be in this audience and they should partake in it and look at it and see it as something that is delightful and something that should be done. That, but you're saying, well, when people say that, like, well, they did this in every culture. What they're trying to say is this is normative. This is normal behavior.
Yes.
Certain times, this is what's normal behavior, and it's always abnormal, and it's evil. It is absolutely evil for a person who says that he is a Christian, any person that says they believe in a God, especially when it comes to people who says that they believe that God created everyone equally. To even say anything like that should be absolutely rejected. And say, no, what you're trying to tell me, you're trying to tell me that it's okay. But even if when it's okay, you know that there was something especially done here for over a long period of time. And you still want me to give you the credit that, oh, it ended. It didn't end. It still hasn't ended. But you want to convince me, the victim of it. How are you going to convince me, and I've been the victim of it, that it's not happening? Of course, you're supposed to say that. Victimizers are always supposed to tell you who they are victimizing. You're not a victim. That's not really what's happening to you. This is evil. This is
Andrina,
evil. And this
can I
ain't an
get you,
evil. I'm sorry.
Andrina, can I get you to speak to the Christians that really feel like this should not be talked about and that this stuff is gone away, although it has morphed into something else? Those two things. And the last one, what do you mean by wizards? I don't think people know what you mean by wizards.
Okay, give me the first question first. That's a
First,
lot.
explain wizard.
I'm sorry. Okay, you want me to explain a wizard?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the general definition is a person that is able by sorcery. And when I say sorcery, it could be by words, by, if you ever watched a magician, they'll say words before they do a trick. They'll say abracadabra, right?
Right.
Why do you have to say that? There are words, there are things that people do. That mean people say that they're doing something to you. You think it's just words, but they're doing something. Words are wizardry. They'll tell you, when I said before, they'll tell you, well, we need to, this globalization is the best thing. But inherently, we know colonization. Is that different? No, it's the same thing. We just changed the word. They are word wizards. They do things and they change things, and they, if you've ever seen the Mickey Mouse, where he was this sorcerer, they're even teaching it to our children, and they can make things happen, and they can make things appear the way that they really are not. We can make you see. It even happened with what we know to be 9/11. Other nations did believe it was true, say, oh, you Americans, you all can make things seem like it's true. You do the movies. I mean, you have the buildings falling, and you can have earthquakes that don't really happen. You have the technology, the wizardry to make things seem like they are when they really are not. Am I being clear?
You're very clear.
So they do it with words, they do it with images. So when we watching movies, it's like, oh, that building really fell down. Did they really crush a building like that? No, they didn't really crush a building. But they have the technology to make you think that that's real rubble, a real car flipped over like that. All these things they make you, but they do it with words mostly.
Yes.
I'm saying that that's the danger with the words. Listen to what they're saying, because they're not really saying what they're saying, and they change language. And I don't mean that they change language like they go from English to Italian. They don't change language like that. They change definitions.
They call it spin.
They change definitions. So what you say is, well, they give you new ones. Well, cisgender, binary. What? These are only things that binary was just used with computers. Well, now you're gonna say, well, we're gonna use it for people. I want you to understand that they're moving you towards something. And you need to understand that there's an end game. Don't move along with this. Don't get on the conveyor belt, okay? You know how you can go in the airport and they say you can ride this belt or you can walk. Walk, walk, and see, because it's going to speed you through this. But you need to observe what's going on around you. Stop letting them speed you through this stuff. And they say, well, we're going to change the way you talk. We're going to tell you you need to say these things. And if you don't say these things, you'll lose your job. What? Where are you taking me? There's an end game. That's not even the end game. That's not the end. Because this is a cultural war. And what they want to implement is what you've seen in many places where they brought the Ark of Baal into a lot of places, into a lot of these cities. They've put up statutes of what's the Baphomet?
Yep.
Statues of the Baphomet. Your whole everything's entertainment. Everything that is entertainment is of him. What you call entertainment. You can watch a movie and you see things happening, but think about what they're doing. You're feeling emotional responses to things. Even if you're looking for justice, you watch movies that you figure there's gonna be some justice at the end.
Right.
If you just want people to be tortured, that's just what you look for. You just find places where people just gonna be tortured, and that's gonna be the end. We need to understand what we're watching, what we're seeing, what we're hearing. We need to understand where this culture is trying to take us. And they know this. They know this. White people that have you believe that it's them that they're trying to convince. No, no, no. It's us. It's people that look like you that they're trying to convince, because this is where they find their greatest opposition.
Yep.
If you were the same people, look like the same people, are the same people that in the 50s and the 60s that said we're going to stick with God and we're going to overcome you by that. And we're going to protest and we're going to do certain things and we're going to get by with it because we don't have any other means. Why would we change if we really want to overcome?
That's what happened in California. I think there was the bill SR something, a bill 82 or 85, and they did not pass the homosexual bill, and they went back and redid it anyway. And they got
because
that
they
thing
said
wrong.
because they said their biggest opposition was the black church.
Yes, and remember you told me, Tim, watch how they bombed our churches
Yeah.
because we used to have a power. Now we are so
Wow.
jelly back, weak fish.
The church ain't got nothing going on.
Like the
Ain't
song
nothing,
say, the
look,
church
ain't
ain't
nothing
getting
going on.
on, and I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say the
what
rest
I'm
of it.
saying. Look, ain't nothing going on in the church but the rent. That's all. Ain't nothing going on with
And
the
that's the
rent.
time.
Yes. Y'all ain't they ain't moving nothing. It's just it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see us be reduced down to some singing and your refusal to even enter into what's happening in the culture. You won't even say anything about it. Why? Because there's a hidden hand, and the hidden hand is not black, it's white.
In
And
okay,
the white
Andrina,
hand say you can't do that.
okay, Andrina, as a woman, while we're talking about our history and the women that were strong, the black women that were strong, that kept families together. I wish you would address as a woman what has happened to our women and how they have helped us through their feminism to destroy or to try to destroy what God has done in the men in our community so that you all could be bed witches again. Please hit that before we close.
Well, I would have to go back a bit because
It's
there
okay.
is a documentary that talks about how the CIA came into they used I can't remember her name. She's an attorney now, Albright or somebody like that. They
Already,
used her
Gloria, already.
already. They used her like they used people. This is how the CIA infiltrated and said we the feminist movement, and they actually started and they actually got black women to be on board with it because they said, hey, what about, and it had nothing to do with, white women being oppressed. It had nothing really to do with that. It was just bringing them into the place where they can, the corporations can get their hands on it, like you said, corporatization. But they wanted to be able to get their hands on the women, and the only important woman to them was the white woman. So, and they did this through advertisements. They did this through Macy's and what they call these windows, these storefront windows, and women
Edward
smoking
Bernays.
cigarettes, and all of these things that they brought feminism into it because they say, hey, we missing out on another group of people that we could be making money from. So let's get these women out of the houses. Let's get them out of the houses. Let's get them to say that their men are oppressing them, that they want to work, and I want a career. When everything was fine, there was peace in the household. But you don't understand where chaos came from. It came from the government.
And
It came
Edward
from the
Bernays. He
corporations.
showed me
Yes,
Secret of the Self, and I watched
yes.
that video.
So so the start of the feminist movement, they got black women involved. Now, black women didn't really have an issue with their black men ruling over them like that because their black men didn't have a lot of power to begin with. So that was not even an issue, but you brought them into it and say, women, 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 and this is another way to separate the family. They figured out a way to separate the family during slavery. We'll take the men away, we'll take the children, we'll take the women. But now we have to be more, advanced, and we have to be more civilized in the way that we do things. So we'll say, well, let's find a way to get the women out from under the black men because they understood that there was a unity that was there, even though they created chaos. We understood that we gonna stick with each other. that we don't want to be under the hands of the white men. We've been their bed witches before. And if we could just have our black men and our children, and we could just have our community, that would be great. And I'm like, no, 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 we can't have that. So let's bring the women out of that culture and say, you're being exploited, sweetie. How? The black man has no power. You all have been exploiting us, both the men and the women. So now you're going to bring us out and you're going to say, tell your man he's no good. When all the while you saying all of this, but most of you all are still with your men. You still have the most soccer moms, live in the suburbs, don't work. You can do everything you need to do for your children. There's only a small percentage of you who are out here with this rhetoric. But you've drawn all of us out to be under this, to separate us, to cause chaos in our household. Don't you need to be heard more? Don't you need to be appreciated more? Well, my children appreciate me. My husband appreciates. No, he doesn't. If he appreciates you, he'll let you go out and work. What? No, if he appreciates me, he'll let me stay home and not work. Like the way you do. The way you do, and to raise the children and to be there when they need you.
Amen.
And be there when he needs you. Why my situation different than yours? It was a way to draw us out. And we start believing that it was about, oh, it's about you, it's about you. And we believe that foolishness. So fast forward to now, you have women say, I don't need no man. I can do blah blah so and so and so and so. I don't need this. Well, I hear you say that, but I guarantee you want one. You want, and but you know you want him in the way that you want him, in the way that they told you that you should have him, and he should be bowing down to you and doing everything that you want, and he really shouldn't be a man. He should be an emasculated man. But this is what we've been brought to believe, and they've come into our households, and we think it's the Bible is so true that the people creep in to our households
Stealing women.
and take captive silly women. You're silly because you won't hold and you won't stand for God's everlasting institution, the way He set it up, the way He commanded us to be, our position and what we're supposed to be, and how we can be fulfilled in that. You won't even see it through. Just see it through. Do it and see if it works. You won't even do it because you have decided that what you see on TV, what you hear in the media, you've allowed people who have oppressed you, who have oppressed your ancestors, put them in slavery, that they know better. You have decided that, well, since they use that book, then that book must not be good for me. That's how they got you away from doing it. That's why you're trapped. That's the trap. And what was the other question you asked me? I'm sorry. I don't know if I answered that.
We don't even need to go to that. We're going to go ahead and close out. But
Okay.
I thank you for helping me, because my God, this is my first time ever doing a class like this, just going straight to discussion and commentary. And I see that there's something that's needed. It's something that we should do periodically, because
That's true.
a lot of time I can give scripture, chapter, and verse. People, they still not ready. But it's like, how do we deal with these issues in the real world if you don't remember chapter and verse? Let's talk about the principles of the equity of the chapter and verse when we talk about walking outside of God's will, mistreating somebody, lying on somebody, giving them the things that destroy their home, and just really just saying, look, we gave a little bit tonight. We didn't give it all. God knows if you think that I gave you something, imagine my wife with all these allergies and all of these things going on. If you think she don't get to study and learn more than I do, you get what I have. And she's like, oh, Tim, you need to look at this, read this, see this. Oh, I didn't know. Remember, Andrina, and I'm gonna just make this short. When I didn't even know much about child trafficking, you're like, you need to know about this. This
Yeah.
bothers me. It was like, yeah, we're a real team, a real one. It ain't like she a token. She the real deal. And I can tell you this much. The Lord is looking at us as a couple that's coming before him, offering ourselves as a servant to him, and we'll be judged that way because that's what we got married to do his will. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, the last thing I want to say is there's more more than one way to express the truth in unrighteousness. And sometimes it can be in the most subtle way. It's letting somebody do something that you know is wrong, and you know you ought to say something, and you just don't. And there's a fear that if I do say something, I may lose my job, I may lose this relationship, this friendship, I may lose my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, and we suppress the truth, and we won't tell the truth. I may lose my YouTube page, I may lose my Facebook account. I mean, there are certain ways that we subtly suppress the truth. It's true. We do it. We do it all the time.
Yes.
But I'm saying, please be aware of it and please be conscious that in the most subtle way, you can say no. You can say no. There's power. There's power to say no. No, I'm not doing that. And I'm not saying that from the vantage point of, oh, well, you got it easy and you didn't blah, blah, blah. No, I've been there. I've done that. There's power in the truth of God's word, his strength, and he'll give you more power. He'll give you more power. And he'll give you more grace. And he'll provide for you more. But most of us won't take the first step. It's like, I'm not going to lie about what you're doing. I'm not going to sit back and let you watch you mistreat other people. I'm not going to let you mistreat me. I mean, I may deal with you mistreating me, but when I start saying this thing is escalated to other people. Oh, I thought it was just me. That's just you. I got to stop you, no matter what it costs me, because I was taught to love my brother. I was taught that. And if I can't get that far, that I can see you oppressing, I can see you doing things, I know you're lying. I need to have a little conversation with you. Off the record, on the record, it don't matter. We need to talk. Because there's something that should happen inside of us when the power of the Most High is in us. We cannot suppress him because he'll leave us.
He will. Samson knows that. So, Minister Merritt, Minister Gary Merritt, do you have any closing words you'd like to say in dealing with how important it is for us to start realizing that there's a war against us and we need to stand? Is there anything you need to say or want to say, Minister Gary Merritt?
No, I think I'm in agreement with what you all have said. Um, yeah, it's true.
Would you like me to do this kind of format again? Because we ain't covered much of what's going on with us. But
At first, I didn't know.
Go ahead.
I realized that I might have missed the first few minutes. I came in right, I think, as you had started to pray. So you may have had said it because I was thinking, and I was like, okay. So I just kept listening. So, but I liked it. I do think that I think you were saying a few minutes ago that some would not understand if you go chapter and verse, and it made me think of Hebrews, principal things, and there are other scriptures. So to actually kind of help some, by no means do I think it should be the only way, but I mean, you said maybe do it more often. I think I liked it. I had to. I was listening at first. I was like, okay, this is different. This is different. But you said years ago. I mean, you said I won't teach a sermon like Christ. I mean, you don't hear Christ saying all the time. You say you have heard it been said. You know, so yeah, I I think all of the messages are good. I may have some questions on some things to be clear, but I think they're all good, and this was good too.
Well, I appreciate it. And the real one of the acid tests for me is when your children tell me that they can understand and it meant something to them, because I have more years behind me than I do in front. And those are my nephew. That's my nephew and my niece. And I got grandchildren. I have sons. In whatever method, because sometimes Jesus would tell them straight up what the scripture say, and then sometimes he said, "So it went forth to sow seed." Then another time he said, "The scribes and the Pharisees do so and so." Then another time he go in there and whip some hiney. My daddy called it a butt, and he said, "You all made my house. You turned into a den of thieves." Then another time he tell people, "You slow fools are hard to hear and understand what the prophets have said." Then another time he tell people, search the scriptures. He had a different way of doing with things. He didn't always use the same methodology, but it was the same thing. Let's put the Most High God prominent in our life and elevate him, and then he'll give the glory and he'll bring about what needs to be done. So I thank you for allowing me to understand how you saw the message that I felt that I had to do tonight. He didn't allow me to do stuff my regular way. I'm cool with him.
I particularly like. Go ahead, yeah.
No, you go, Gary. I'm sorry.
Because I was saying about that Black History Month, and like, wow, we got a whole 28 days. Like, wow. And it's so ridiculous because they have done plastic surgery on white history. How you gonna daggum like not talk about this part? And the white people will tell you that history has, Tim, they don't always say narrative. They'll say, I started learning it years ago because I hated to read, and then I started reading, these people just trying to be God. I'll be reading, these people trying to be God, talking about posterity and stuff. But you tell us that, okay, depending on who writes the history, I learned this from white people. Then you need to go and look at it. But then when somebody black say something with your white history, what? With your white history, you know, then it's like, oh, we did liposuction on that. We did a belly tuck.
Yes.
We done drawn all them lines on your face. We done cut the wrinkles out. We done cut part of your eyelids off. We done removed all the bunions, everything. That ain't a part of the history no more. So so I was like, okay, yeah. I hate Black history. I'm like, what? Cause even when I was little, I'm like, why we only hear about Martin Luther King? Some things when I was little, I'm like, I didn't know how to express it. Even when I was old, I didn't know how to express it. Okay, we finna hear about Rosa Parks again. Okay. I'm like, what is that? Is that it? Is that it? We got 5 people that we talk about for 20 years. Like, come on. Oh, anyway, it was good.
I'll be saying that, once again, we need to look at the attributes of the enemy. And he says he was a liar and a murderer from the beginning.
Kill, steal, and destroy.
Yes, so you say, well, we just didn't tell you about this. No, you lied. You lied. Don't be saying, well, well, we just omitted. No, lying is omission. That is a lie. So you don't want me to call you a liar. I don't know why they so and so, and am I'm bringing it out, and I'm the great one. No, you're not. You're not. You want me to believe that this same white face is the noble one. Oh, I'm gonna tell you the truth about how great these black people were, and blah blah blah. And I don't know why they left this out. You the same white face that left it out. Same one, and you giving the same. The point is that you're still making the narrative. You are still the one that's bringing it out, and it matters. See, you get to
Trina,
be on
let me
other
just
people's
say this.
platforms.
What
Okay.
what disturbed me enough that I think that made me do this, and I couldn't do my other thing, because I don't usually have a problem coming up with to deal with the scriptures. It was wall builders and a man by the name of Barton. What is his name? I forgot his name, but he got a son named Tim Barton, and he has a thing called Wall Builders. And they were doing Black history for us this month. And I looked and I saw what he was doing. It was so incomplete. It was so inept. And it was making it look like nothing had happened to us. And God hadn't worked with us. And so when I saw that, it bothered me. Dr. Marshall Williams, my friend from Gainesville, Georgia, he sent that to me and I saw it. And when I saw that, David Barton, that's his name, I saw it. And it's like, this is Confederacy. This is the kind of thing that I can't stand.
So
So
you
damn,
know, he
go ahead,
talked about. I'm going to tell you that in that one of those videos, he talked about history being told from perspectives. And
Yes,
so he's saying that, where the North had, their history and they had their perspective, and the middle had theirs, and then you had the South that had their perspective. But I'm trying to figure out why the South's history prevailed. And why did you all, good people in the North and good people in the middle, some good people, why did you all say that it was okay to only tell the South's perspective?
yes,
There was something there. There's something that's happening that you're not telling me. You telling me that they told it there's perspectives, and the South had their history, and well, why did theirs prevail in the history books? Why? Stop playing with me. I ain't stupid.
that's right.
I'm not simple. I understand that you accepted a narrative and you said this is what we gonna tell these people about us. And just like you like, oh, Lincoln, and he did so much. Lincoln, like, I don't let me forgive me for how I'm gonna say this. I don't give a damn if I free one slave. I don't care. I don't care if all of them just stay slaves. I don't care. This is not about them. He made that perfectly clear.
He said, just save the Union.
It's just we want to save the Union. We just want to be free from Britain. So please don't tell me that, we fought a war to free y'all. No, you fought a war to keep your union.
And that's
So
a
you
God,
didn't have to stop playing.
that's a goddamnable lie that you told. And I'll say this much.
And these are liars. They are liars.
I'll say this much, and this is very important for us. we better start paying attention to our history the way that they do, because they realize there's a power in it to control the narrative, and the narrative will control what you consider to be your reality because you will conform to it.
Yes. And moving forward from that present day, they still gonna make your narrative. They're still gonna tell you what you want to be mad about. Oh, you should be angry about what's going on over there in Ukraine. Oh, you ought to feel okay that we've sent troops and money and blah and arbitrary over there. You ought to feel okay about that. You better not say anything against it. But at the same time, I'm telling you, this is a picture. This is a direct picture of what was happening during the days of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King. He said, you all can go over there to the Vietnam War and you can spend that money. Why you spending money over there when we saying we need money here? You got money that you can spend on the war, but we asking you, your citizens, we saying, hey, we've done the work, we deserve it. Oh, we ain't got the money for you. Is that not the exact thing that's happening now? We're saying give us reparations. They're saying, oh, no, well, we ain't got money. I don't know how we gonna be able to do that, how to count that. That's too much money. But where you sending it? To a war in the Ukraine. Are y'all hearing me?
Yes.
It's the exact same thing. Exact same thing. He was asking for reparations. We're asking for reparations. There was a war going on there. There's a war going on now. You saying the same thing. We don't have the money. I don't know how we're going to come up with that kind of money. We just can't do it. But you're sending billions and billions of dollars on a war.
Because that's their brothers. Now here's the thing. I had a guy tell me the other day, what they gonna do with the money? This is what was asked me. What are they going to do with the money if they give them the money? And after
You should have said none.
that's what they can say, because that's the end. I said, that's not the end.
You
I
should
said,
have
you
said
haven't
none.
considered the fact that they set us up where we couldn't have education. You haven't set up any of the things that they did in the educational system, the loans. I said, first of all, when you go make your money, do you let somebody ask you what you're going to do with the money? Do you? No. Do you allow somebody to ask you or tell you what to do? And that means no other things have to be done? I say,
Break that down. Break that down. Break that
in
down.
other words,
Like, so at the end of the day, at the end of the week or 2 weeks, you get your paycheck.
right.
You go get your paycheck. Is there a directive that's saying what you're gonna do with you need to do this, and such? What you gonna do with your money? I mean, maybe I shouldn't pay you because you might go do some drugs with it.
Yes.
You might go buy a whore with it. You might go and buy lottery tickets with it. You might go and buy some land that I was looking at, and I want with it. Okay, gotcha. I got you. Go ahead.
So when you start talking that kind of folly, if you ever get to where you can't hear me, let me know, okay? But here is the thing. When you start telling a person, I'm not going to give you what is due you because I don't approve of what you're going to do with it. And then you make it where is if we do give you reparation, restitution, that's enough. But that ain't all you've done. You've taken land. You've eliminated knowledge. And I can tell you this much. America can turn things around. And the thing is, when the Most High God allows us to show it, it doesn't mean they're going to do it. It's an indictment. We got to indict. We got to indict so that the Most High God, when he brings his judgment,
We have to.
you were warned.
I'm sorry, sweetie. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know. Go ahead.
Well, let's go back to how you were talking about, you talked about field order number 15.
Lord Jesus, that was on 7,
And,
right?
right, and you kind of alluded to it tonight too, that there was a certain amount of land that was supposed to be given
Yes.
Black people upon their emancipation, and that they were supposed to be given land, the coastland. Oh, that's good land right there. Coastland is good land. We were supposed to be given it, and how they reneged on it. We're not giving you that. See, this is the kind of government that we're dealing with. That you can have some people that say, yes, they deserve to have this. We want to appoint this to them. But then you have the other people who are actually in control, though,
Yes.
who
The
say, we ain't
corporatocracy.
doing that. We ain't doing that. Let them fend for themselves. We ain't doing that. And all these nice people in the north who just wanted you to be free. How much did they enforce field order number 15? How much did they enforce it? How much did they fight to get the right for us? Since they so good and so mighty and so precious and ought to, be exhorted for being in a war for us, how much did they fight for that? They did.
But we fought for them to the blood, to the death. Yeah, we need to do this again.
This is evil. That's evil, and just because I'm not saying that all white people are evil, although I'm inclined to say that it may be somewhere in there, because you cannot be brought up in this society and be white and not believe that you're better. You can believe that you're better in a parental sense. That, well, I can do things for you. Hey, you need this, you need that. I can try to help you, but I'm still better than you. I'm still better than you. I'm more mature than you. I can do this for you. And if I don't do this for you, I don't know what you'll do. And I can still have that, but still, I'm still gonna be in the process, influencing your mind. I'm still going to be pouring to you my ideology. I'm still going to be telling you that, yeah, you should see this is good and this is evil. As long as you're taking my money, as long as you're living in my space, I'm going to control the way you think. And you have some of that. And people think, but I know some good white people. Are they really good, though? Like, I need you to measure it seriously. I want you to really measure it against the scriptures, against what's righteous, against what's true. I ain't saying all white people are evil, but I'm saying you cannot be white in this society and be brought up and not have that mindset. See, and the only way the only reason that they don't want the younger generation coming up and knowing it is because they'll start thinking differently.
And why did they make it illegal in Florida? This man right here, did you see this book right here? It went down and
And I seen it white too long.
you still see it?
Yes, sir. I see.
That book right there will go through. This is a white man saying way more than I'm saying. He said, I can take you back and show you where they did in the documents. I can take you where they used to take black people and they would sell them to fund the churches, or when they got in debt, they would do that, and the things that they would do. This is just one of my books. But Tim, why do you read this? Why do you care about this? Because I have young Black brothers and sisters, and I have grandchildren. I have Black people that tell me that, Tim, you going too far. I had them say, we making millions. That's like, do you really understand how the game is played? Look at the entertainers. Look at the sports figures. We can take what you got at any moment, but you can't take a man's righteousness. You can't take the righteousness of the Most High Yah. And this is what we're looking at. So I've determined within myself, if not next week, within 2 weeks, let's talk about other things on this area of this issue. And we don't have to cover this. Oh, there's so much. There's so much that has been done that when you think that our young Black people are different ones, they were lazy, they were stupid, they did nothing. Because you had the opportunity, you had a mindset that could do more. That doesn't mean they were stupid. You were better off. I've met people that are less than me intellectually, and I've met them that are more. But we're fully assured that the Most High God give each one of us a gift to work with. And I submit to you that just like I do in apologetics, I try to defend our brothers, whether they white or Black, against the people that bring a wickedness. This is an apologetic issue that we got to deal with the supremacy of a skin in the body of Christ, where we act like we're a benefactor as opposed to being the younger, or we being one that will serve our brother. When we get to that, I promise you, when you talking about the word of the living God, when the Black and white do like we're supposed to, nobody will come against us. But as long as our white brothers feel like, we are afterthought of God, they'll be our enemy. I mean it. Because the little bit of help they give us will be that we got to be subservient to them again. And I know I'm telling the truth.
You are telling the truth. But the foundation was said that this was a Christian nation.
Yes.
And so you're telling me that listen to conservative radio and they'll tell you all night and day, this is a Christian nation. And so starting from that vantage point, let's look at what happened in this nation. And we can determine from that, what the heck are they talking about when they say Christian?
Yes.
When we look at what actually happened, what's the reality of it?
Can you
Stop
see my
listening
screen?
to what they're saying.
Can you see my screen?
I see your screen says Mappy.
Yes, this is what this white man does. And I ain't found one that has been able to prove that this guy's wrong. This is Robert Long. I got another one by Tim Wise. I'm not even pulling him up. And I'm tired.
Is that the Tim Wise that has videos? Is it the Tim Wise that has videos talking about the history of white supremacy in America and Christianity?
Yeah, but this one is Robert Long, so I got the same thing, because some of our brothers, I call them brothers when they want to do right, but let me tell you something. When I call them brothers that they want to do right by us, I want you to understand, most of the time when I see them, they still want to make me Democrat. They want to make me progressive. But what ends up happening, they will tell the truth on what happened to get me to progressivism. I'm not going to be progressive. I'm going to be the righteousness of God. So therefore, although you tell the truth, you don't get to control my thoughts. I don't play those reindeer games. I'm not Rudolph.
It's holding your own righteous mind. It's knowing and having a righteous standard. If you don't have a righteous standard, if your standard is, well, whatever they tell me is right at the moment, if it's what they call PC, politically correctness, if that's that, if it's feminism, if it's let's be anti-Republican, and you let people move you. And what's your standard? Do you actually have a standard? Do you actually? And these are Christian people. These are Christian people who are being moved by the world like that. You're being moved by the world like that. And they say, and you hear it. Talk to them when you hear them say the same things that you hear on the radio. You hear the people who are not Christians say, it's like, why is that coming out of your mouth?
Yes.
You got to get Trump out of there. Why you saying that? Why are you saying that? I hear that from people who don't believe in God, don't care about God. They homosexuals. They in certain sexual depravity. They lie. They steal. They cheat from one another. Why you, as a Christian? Why you talking like that? Why? I know I'm using bad grammar, but why you talking like that? Tell me why. They have no answer. So it's to bring you back to the righteous mind. You have a conscience. Stop telling people what you ought to feel. That like let people tell you what you ought to feel. You need to feel like this is wrong. You need to be outraged in that. You watch TV too much. You on social media too much. God can't even reach you because he ain't got a Twitter page, you know? He ain't got the little blue bird. He ain't got the check mark, you know? He not on Facebook. He doesn't have a YouTube page. But you call yourself a Christian and you say you love the scriptures and oh, I go to church. But I don't see it enacted in your life. I don't see it. And it's a doggone shame.
It is a butt naked shame. And that's who you are. And I'm tired. I'm tired
Okay,
of
I'm gonna
going
stop talking in the class.
uh
I said I'm gonna stop talking so you can end the class.
yeah, cause cause
Because
the
we can
Lord
talk. We can
the,
talk on our own.
the Lord has blessed us. Listen to this, you all. Those that are still listening to me, the Lord has blessed us. You never see me ask for any money. You never see
Never,
me beg. But
never.
the people that support our ministry, they allow me to be able to go buy anything I want to. One of the things that I told them from the beginning is that if you ever feel that I'm not giving you your money's worth on whatever it is that we're learning, do it. Don't give me nothing. I said, because I'm going to buy whatever book I want because I want to learn.
Yeah, because we started off with just us. If we started off with zero.
I know we were doing 4
Started
classes
off with
a week.
yeah, so we started off with zero. We wouldn't never asked for a donation.
Still don't do
Never
it.
put Cash App, PayPal. We never do any of that because this is about us enlightening people. This is really truly about you need to see God the way you need to see him without it's the same thing that Paul said. If I gotta do this, I don't want to be a burden to you. I don't
Amen.
want you to ever feel like that you gotta support me and that's why I'm doing this. I don't want to ever do that to you. You give if you give, you don't if you don't. You can't write it off.
No, we ain't gonna do your
Because we
501c3.
don't do that. We don't do that. You can just say I can give a gift, but we don't do that. We're not even gonna tell you how to do that. Because this is pure.
Don't need your money. Keep it.
This is pure.
We gonna control us.
My husband got the spirit. I got the spirit. He enables us to do what we do. He does. We don't need money for it. We don't.
There was a church one time, one know where Tim was getting all that money. No, he got a wife to know how to do stuff.
Hey, he gave me skills. I have skills.
This same doggone wife won a case for me in federal court under Judge Amy Totenberg, where I was sued by a church, and guess what? She didn't even flinch, did you, Andrea?
No, but
And
it
we,
was rough. You know, it was rough because we couldn't even pay anybody to take the case because they thought that was like, this is ludicrous. Like, what is this? Okay. We tried to pay people to take the case. We did.
yeah,
We had no money we could pay you. No, I don't know why, but I think I do now. That he said, you can do whatever I enable you to do. I want you to feel that.
did,
I want
did
you to know it.
all right, Andrea. I just
Yes,
last
sir.
one I showed was
The red summer.
that was a lot of the massacres that happened when you start listening to David Barton and the different ones show the different things that happened during slavery. They're not going to show you Red Summer. They're not going to show you the massacre. They're not going to show you the different cities and towns that were bombed. They're not going to show you stuff about Rosewood and stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you that this is when you talk about Black history. Let's put the whole thing down, that we have been the offscouring of the world. We have been a byword, like the Most High God said. And it's not just about white people, it's about us turning from Yah. And when we turn back to Yah, we're going to be okay. And the world will be better off because we turn back to our Father. And one thing Donald Trump said that was true. I don't know how he came to that, but we were supposed to be the moral conscience of America.
He said you gave America a conscience. Black people, y'all did that because we didn't have one. Somebody wrote that for him. I
Oh,
know they did. I know they did. Somebody wrote that for him.
I didn't have enough
But
creative
it's
thinking
true.
that, okay?
But it's true. I don't think any speech that they ever give, some things he can do off the cuff. But I think when it's in a setting like that, that was written for him. But there was nothing in his deliverance that made me think it was insincere. He understood it. He understood the history. Some things, men know. Men know that men endured. Men know it. I know these black men endured some stuff. And they here now and they're still enduring. And they want to take that away from us. They want to say, well, we freed you, we gave you rights. It's always from their perspective
It is.
that we're supposed to be beholden, like, oh, well, aren't they good people? No, our black men are the best men. Oh, my. Oh, my, they delivered us. Oh, my, our black men delivered us.
I'm,
Our
I'm,
black men and women endured and delivered us.
I'm,
And you want me to turn it.
I'm laughing, Andrea, because for one of the first time people get to see what I'm working with. Okay, they get a chance to see. Sometimes somebody say, y'all don't know what I'm working with. You get a chance to see, because so many women that are wife to a minister, all you got is a title, and just like you sitting up there, you're a first lady. They don't hardly do that a lot of time in white churches. You so great because you married this man, and maybe because you have sex with him. My wife, without a sex, without just being my wife, this is who she was. This is why we got married, because she knew and she cared about the things of God and about getting righteous in the land. I thank you all for joining us. I thank you all for listening to us. Next time we'll do it, we'll be a little more structured. in what we're dealing with, but we're gonna
We
deal
gonna try, but we want y'all to join in too.
That's right. Have something to say. We're the people of God. Let's do this. Father, thank you for your word, your grace, your power, your love, your chastisement, and your desires for us to replicate you in the world. Help us to do what's right by you. I thank you for every white man, every Indian man, every man that came from Barbados or Haiti, everyone that lost their lives or whatever to help us. I thank you for them. But for those that determined that they were going to keep us down and do wickedly, let your judgment burn upon them. And for those that had the mindset to destroy us and they repented, I ask you by your might and power that you will put a blessing on their family and let their family have the same kind of mindset to do right by us so that justice and peace could be in the earth. I ask these things in the blessed name of your holy child, Jesus Christ the righteous, as you help us stand strong. Help us get to the place where you want us to be so that you can go ahead and bring your judgment and calamity on this world, on the ungodly, so that your kingdom will rule in peace and righteousness forever. Amen, amen, and amen. I say good night, everybody. I'm finished.